So, welcome, friends. The new topic discussions in the series of economics for everyone. We have been discussing about various economic systems and which were influenced by the various schools of thought, and so how the classical schools of economics influence capitalism, how the Marxian thought process influenced communism in countries like Russia and China. Okay, and broadly, how we arrived at the classification of economic system like socialism, capitalism, and mixed economy. We will briefly discuss now to start with some of the brief history, interesting history from how capitalism originated in US and how socialism in Russia and China, and followed by how mixed economy in India. As you see, the American capitalism, the foundations are already there. Let us start with the American Revolution. It was an ideological political revolution which occurred in colonial North America between 1765 and 1783. The Americans in the 13 colonies defeated the British in the American Revolutionary War, gaining independence from the British Crown, establishing the United States of America, the first modern constitutional liberal democracy. The Americans felt that despite all the taxes they have collected from the British Crown, they had no representation in the British Parliament. And the sense of rebel and freedom from British started. And there have been a lot of stories, we'll briefly look into it later. With the teamwork, or what we call today's terms, get together of all the freedom founders of freedom fight, they could have wage a war against the Britons and defeat them in their land. And also parallelly, as we can see, this is the period where the classical economic school of thought of process initiated by Adam Smith was thriving. So their ideological foundation was laid there. It has been said that the capitalism, as we see here, the initial foundations beyond the ideology of classical schools and the post-freedom, because that's the time we got freedom, started when the Virginians in the Jamestown, the Puritans in the Massachusetts, Parkers in Pennsylvania, and other early settlers, what later became the United States, all brought with them a spirit of entrepreneurship and elements of capitalism. They are the future precursors of the future nation's market-driven economy. So the freedom came, the ideological thought came, the entrepreneurship attitude came, everything came together. Okay, no nation has been more market-oriented, according to sources, in its origin and subsequent history than the United States of America. The very settling of the country from Atlantic to the Pacific and onward to Alaska to Hawaii, one of the long entrepreneurial adventure. Even down to the present day, more Americans have probably made fortunes from the appreciation of real estate values than from any other source. But land is the only starting place for the American capitalism. That story, in comparison with long-term business histories of all other large countries, has been one of the intense and incessant competition. Americans have persistently shown themselves willing to follow market forces with relatively little hesitation. In the early years, Americans' appetite for land was born of European deprivation, confronting new world opportunity deprived by Europeans. Demand, which has been pent up for centuries, suddenly encountered plentiful supply. Settlers' hunger for more and more territory thrust them relentlessly westward. They could establish farms and ranches that they themselves could own. This was the American dream in its earlier form. And for the people living the dream, it had an aura of double-edged incredibility. It was a disbelief not only at their own good fortune, but also at the backbreaking work required to capitalize on. Thank you. We'll keep continuing that.